My slides, Dr.
Yes,
Deep?
please. Please go on slideshow.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good evening. I think we are already running out of time, scheduled time. But thanks, Diksha, and thanks, Chandigarh Ophthalmological Society, and thanks, Novartis, for giving me this opportunity. Before I start my talk, I would salute to Dr. Dogra on this Teacher's Day, because if it were not for him, I would not be doing ROP today. And somebody asked me, I'm a retina surgeon, so all of us are. Somebody asked me, what is the closest to your heart? I said ROP. So that shows my passion and all of you's passion in this field. It's an excellent webinar. I'll just put in a few points in Rainbow Trial because most of it has been already covered by Dr. Gaurav Sanghi and Dr. Simar. So basically, you all know that the standard of care for type 1 ROP or treatable ROP, which Dr.
Excuse
Madam
me.
from,
Please go on slideshow.
okay, slide sharing.
Slideshow.
Okay,
Play. You can play here.
okay. So the standard of care for type 1 ROP has been laser. We all know that. However, there are smaller studies like anecdotal reports, individuals doing only monotherapy with anti-VEGF or maybe combination therapy and things like that. In fact, there has been only one large trial involving bevacizumab as far as the ROP is concerned, comparing its efficacy to laser treatment. We all would agree that the injections are so much easier to administer. They take much lesser time than laser, and you can even give it under a drop of paracaine. However, there are some risks also. The lens is large in these eyes, you know that, globular and a small eye. There can be a lens touch. Injection can cause endophthalmitis. Then there are issues of systemic suppression of VEGF. And these babies need to be seen sometimes at 60 weeks post-menstrual age, or maybe more also. Then Dr. Sanghi showed probably some sawtooth pattern of abnormalities after anti-VEGF injections. There can be vascular dilatations. There can be capillary non-perfusions after these anti-VEGF injections. These are the issues. But intravitreal anti-VEGFs are here. They have come in the last 15 years and they are here to stay. They are being used for vasoproliferative retinopathies like diabetic retinopathy or neovascular AMD. ROP is no exception. And they are being used for retinal vein occlusions also. As I said, the BEAT ROP was the largest clinical trial to compare the efficacy of bevacizumab with laser. There were some differences to it from this Rainbow trial. I'll come to that. But there are still some questions which were unanswered, like which agent to use, what is the efficacy of each agent, what is the real dose of that drug, and the need for retreatment. When do you treat again? And then these babies, as I said, need to be seen for a long period of time. Just like any other trial, the parents have to give a consent for the baby to be treated. The babies had to be less than 1500 grams of either sex, and they should be having an ROP type 1 in both the eyes. There should not be any ocular or neurological comorbidities that might result in the confounding visual impairment, and there should not be active ocular infection for the fear of causing endophthalmitis following injection. The babies were divided into three groups. The first group was given zero point 0.2 milligrams ranibizumab, the second group 0.1 milligram, and the third group was treated as usual with laser treatment. There were two objectives, primary and secondary. The primary objective mainly was to know the superior efficacy of zero point 0.2 milligram of ranibizumab over laser treatment. That means the absence of active ROP and absence of unfavorable structural outcomes. I'll come to these points. Active ROP was defined as plus disease in at least two of the quadrants or extraretinal vessels growing towards the vitreous, as is their wont. They grow towards the vitreous, they grow towards the lens. We all know that. Unfavorable structural outcomes were defined as retrolental membrane obscuring the view of the posterior pole, temporal retinal vessels dragging and causing macular ectopia or even dragging the disc also, posterior retinal fold involving the center of the macula, and sometimes a detachment of 4B configuration, which is involving the macula. There were some key secondary endpoints also. How did 0.1 milligram ranibizumab compare to the laser, and how did ranibizumab 0.1 milligram compare to 0.2 milligram of ranibizumab? Because this was an exercise to determine the dosage. Because if you remember in the CARE ROP study, they compared 0.2 and 0.12, and they had some other conclusions, but against the rainbow conclusions. Then the secondary objectives, the other objectives were time to intervention with a second modality. For example, when do you intervene again, or development of active disease, or unfavorable outcome, or death. Death was also considered as a failure. Death is not common in these babies. Many of them die during treatment, and this was also considered a failure in the rainbow trial. Because beyond that, you cannot analyze the data. Recurrence of ROP requiring any post-line intervention up to 24 weeks. These babies were seen up to 168 days and analyzed on 169th day. Then ocular and systemic safety of ranibizumab was determined. Pharmacokinetics of ranibizumab were also seen by taking the serum samples, blood samples, and the systemic VEGF levels were also measured, because there are issues very well known that these VEGF is important for neurodevelopment and organ development in these growing babies. So these are the numbers. Total of 230 patients were taken, 5 were excluded for some reason, 225. Then it came down to 214 babies, which were divided almost equally into 3 parts for 0.2 milligrams, 0.1 milligrams ranibizumab, and laser. The baseline characteristics of all 3 groups were very well balanced. Geographical region, they were from 2 regions actually. Region 1 was the more developed countries where the neonatal mortality rate was less than 5 per 1,000 live births as they are measured. And region 2 was more than 5 neonate deaths per 1,000 live births. That means they represented almost whole of the world, in the sense that the developing nations and the developed nations also. Some centers were there in India also. As far as gender is concerned, mother's race, ethnic origin, they were fairly balanced to represent most of the population. Similarly, the gestational age and birth weight plurality, that means that a single or twin births or plural, more than two twin babies, they were all very well balanced, except for the fact, if you see the first line, the gestational age was 25 weeks in the 0.2 milligrams group, whereas it was 26 in the other 2 groups. So in fact, the 0.2 milligram ranibizumab group were a little lower for their gestational age. At the same time, most infants had zone 2 stage 3 plus disease. Stage 2, zone 2 and stage 2 plus was not covered in the ranibizumab, because there is not an agreement in treatment. Some people treat that and some people do not treat that. 60%, nearly 60% of the patients were in the zone 2 stage 3. Rest were posterior, zone 1. If the clinical signs of disease persistence were present, previously allocated dose of 0.2 or 0.1 milligram could be used not earlier than 28 days for a maximum of 2 more injections. That means each eye could get 3 injections. Laser could be augmented up to day 11. Switch to another form of treatment was considered as a treatment failure, and they were either examined with binocular, indirect ophthalmoscope, or with the imaging camera, etc. Imaging camera was available in 76 of the 87 centers, if I remember correctly, and the study was done in 26 countries. So now they have come to some conclusions that infants treated with ranibizumab 0.2 milligram were twice likely to achieve the treatment success versus laser. How did they come to this conclusion is that there was an odds ratio of 2.1. If you see the second line from below, 2.19 odds ratio favoring laser. And treatment success was 80% with 0.2 milligrams and 45, nearly 60%, just coming under the photos now, is nearly 66%, I think, with the laser, and 75% with 0.1 milligram. So the treatment success was higher with the both ranibizumab groups. At the same time, this was observed that higher treatment success was seen in patients with zone 2 ROP. This is nothing new. The more anterior the disease, the better the prognosis. More posterior the disease, the worse the prognosis. We all know that. In 2 injection groups of ranibizumab, full peripheral vascularization occurred at 28 weeks. I think this fact was mentioned by Dr. Anand also during his talk or during the discussion. It takes a long time for these babies to have vessels till the ora serrata. If you remember the beta ROP conclusions, at 60 weeks also some babies were being seen. So it's very difficult to see a heavier baby and older gestational age or older PMA age babies to be seen. You know that you require anesthesia. And as a rule of the thumb, if the baby crosses 7 kgs or 52 weeks or 50 weeks of gestation, I usually give an anesthesia. Of course, I tailor the requirement of the baby, but generally that is the rule of the thumb which I do. 12 patients in each ranibizumab group had 1 or more injections, retreatment, but that led to a successful primary outcome. Now this figure is very important. 55 days average, median time between the baseline treatment and the first retreatment. That means the baby had to be seen at 8 weeks. This is a must. But the activation can occur much later also. Many people who are doing monotherapy, I am not a proponent of monotherapy in spite of the fact that I am speaking on a ranibizumab trial. But many people who are treating on monotherapy, they are following up the babies for, I think, months on end, maybe years on end. Coming to the ocular side effects, one eye had cataract because of a lens hit, and one eye had endophthalmitis in the other injection group. And coming to the systemic side effects, I think they are not very different from what you expect in a preterm baby. Not very different, not related to the injections. So it was seen that ranibizumab 0.2 milligrams was superior to laser as the proportion of successful outcome was greater in the 2.2 milligrams group. Ranibizumab 0.2 milligram had fewer unfavorable outcomes, 1 versus 5 versus 7, 1 in 0.2, 1 in 0.1 milligrams, and 5 in 0.1 milligrams, and 7 in the laser. Unfavorable outcomes were that fold passing through the retina and things like that, active new vessels or plus disease more than 2 quadrants. Ranibizumab 0.1 milligram did not offer any additional advantage, so that sort of solves the problem of the dosage. That 0.2 milligrams is good enough. But CARE ROP said that 0.12 milligram is as good as 0.2. But that was a very small 30 babies study in Germany, which was like a pilot trial. Highest risk of unfavorable outcome occurred in the zone 1 in all 3 groups reported in the previous studies. This is understandable. And switching treatment was common in all 3 groups because they kept the switching of treatment at a very low threshold because they did not want any eye to go blind or any eye to worsen. So that is why they started switching very quickly. So that is why the switching percentage was higher. At the same time, as I said, that 26 countries were involved. Care providers were from wide range of settings and experience. So was the population. According to the studies and what Indian ROP, what I learned from attending IROP, the Hispanics do not do so well after laser. So that might be one reason. Second reason could be that doing a laser in a baby, the skill is not common. In India, we are very fortunate that we have Dr. Subhadra Jalali and Dr. Mangal Dogra and you people in the PGI faculty. I was trained in Netrale, Dr. Gopal was there. During my fellowship, though, it was in the year 1991. He was going, but I was not going. ROP was not important in those days, but very soon it became important. But I came back and then I saw Dr. Dogra and then I started. I started nearly 15, 20 years ago. Training in the use of fundoscopy to determine primary outcome was provided, and all centers did not have the imaging facilities. We do not have the imaging facility. I see nearly 50 babies, 50 screenings in a week, not 50 babies, but 50 screenings in a week, but we do not have any imaging facility. This trial was open label, non-masked and non-placebo controlled. That is another weak point. Observers could be having a bias. Somebody has a bias for laser. Maybe I have a bias for laser. I will say that laser is working better than the injection. Forgive me, Novartis. Retreatment decisions for ranibizumab were restricted to 28 days. So that is also another weak point. Although both trials evaluated anti-VEGF therapy in ROP, Rainbow and Beat ROP are not comparable in many senses. Beat ROP was done only in one group of children in America. I think 150 babies, out of which 143 or so were eligible for data collection. Rainbow was done in 26 countries, different populations. Both studies had a different protocol. Here we are looking at the death or the active ROP or structural outcomes, unfavorable structural outcomes. These are not directly comparable. Beat ROP were looking at the reappearance of recurrence of neovascularization. In between the course of the trial, they changed it to treatment required for the neovascularization, if I remember correctly. In Rainbow, a composite outcome was measured, that is survival without active ROP, unfavorable structural outcomes, and treatment switch. Then they studied the serum half-life. At 9 days, it was very minimal, ranibizumab. Whereas bevacizumab is a bigger molecule, you all know that it lasts for 21 days. At 9 days in these babies, ranibizumab was still detectable, but very minimal. Then VEGF mediated angiogenesis is a very big concern while using VEGF, anti-VEGF in preterm babies because they are at a stage of development. Then they looked at the VEGF levels also. For that, they took the plasma and not the serum, because when the serum is taken, the blood clots and the platelet cohesiveness, it releases VEGF. So that is going to increase the VEGF level artificially. So that is why CARE also did that. And what they saw was that VEGF was not suppressed much in any one particular group as compared to the other. This is a data showing that, but that is their observation. So just to conclude, a treatment success rate of 80% was achieved with ranibizumab 0.2 milligrams versus 66% with laser. Infants treated with 0.2 milligram were twice likely to achieve treatment success versus laser, as I showed you in the odds ratio. Ranibizumab 0.2 milligram and 0.1 milligram were well tolerated. They were fairly safe, but 0.1 milligram did not show any additional advantage to 0.2 milligrams. In fact, this is the first study of its kind to show the pharmacokinetics and systemic VEGF data also. And 5 years extension study following this 24 weeks is going on. And immediately after this conclusion came out, FDA approved it, and now in India also it is approved. Thank you for your attention. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.